Hi and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tanya McCartney. I'm an author, illustrator, editor and designer, and I make books. I just thought I'd pop in to show you a bit of an unboxing of some products I've bought. I've been working digitally for the last 6 or 7 years, and although it's been a game changer and has been absolutely fantastic for my bookmaking, I've been desperate to return to hand-rendered works. And what I really love to work in and what I will be working in for my upcoming book is watercolour, also printing, a little bit of embroidery and all sorts of wonderful things. So I've had to invest in some new things. You'll find over time, of course, that paints, particularly watercolour, dry out, and I was horrified to open some of my kit and find that they had worn out, dried out, were no longer usable. So what I'm going to do is show you what I've bought and tell you why I've bought it. And please like, comment and subscribe, won't you? And let's get into the unboxing. Here is one of the first products that I wanted to show you. This is actually the flower press I bought. It just looks like a balsa wood, so it's quite light. It comes with the various components that you'll need as you stack. So we're putting down cardboard, then some blotting paper. Then you put on your flower, and then you'll put, of course, more blotting paper, and then you'll put the card on top, and then you repeat and stack up. Here is what's in this little kit. Oh, it's pretty cool. It comes with a Stanley knife, a nice fine one, pair of tweezers, and I like the tip on these. They're just much easier to grasp things. A pair of scissors. These are blunt-nosed scissors. And then, of course, the screws, and you can see how long they are. That's probably about 10 centimetres, so they're going to be able to fit a lot in this stack. One more little thing here. Oh, it's a little wire brush. Obviously, that's going to be perhaps manipulating the flowers or the stamens. And then lastly, there's this little bag. That's a little carry case that you can put everything in. So that's the first thing in my never-ending pile of art supplies that I've been sourcing. Let's get on to the next one. When I was doing digital work, I let my paints dry out. I have a Winsor & Newton set that's very old. It actually still wets okay, but I'm just noticing it's a bit of a struggle. So although I'm going to continue using it because I love their paint, I did want to buy some new watercolour, and I've bought 2 versions, and I'll tell you why. The first set of these Mont Marte, these are just everyday basic watercolour. They're effective, they're fine, they're great for beginners, and of course they're a nice price as well. So you can see there's a really good range. Now the reason I bought these is because I want to use the watercolour to make my sheets for my collaging. Here are some of my sheets that I've painted, and these are actually mostly acrylic. And although they're really good to play with, you can see here there's a nice ombre effect, I just find watercolours give much better texture. So I wanted to come up with some more sheets that I can do more ombre effect on, but with lovely texture and that beautiful bloom that watercolour gives. I'm still going to use copier paper with these, which may be a little tricky because it will buckle quite quickly. You can see here with watercolour paper how it doesn't buckle and how beautifully it spreads. But the problem with that is to make collage out of this thickness of paper is just too much. You can see here that this is one of the collages I've done, and I just feel like I'm missing those lovely blooms. With that mushroom, I managed to get a little bit of a bloom with acrylic paint, but I used salt to get that effect. I also bought some new gouache paint, and again I just got the cheaper kind, Mont Marte, and the reason I've done that is because I think that unless you're doing a really special piece, gouache paint, it really doesn't matter as much as watercolour, the quality of it. Of course, gouache is fantastic for more opacity, so if I do want to do these lovely darker parts of an image, then I can certainly, use this for that. I got this one because I just adored the range of colours. Look at those, they're absolutely spectacular. You can never get enough of the white because this is great for adding highlights. It's just got that perfect opacity. So again, that set will be used for some of my regular hand-rendered artworks, but it will also be used to make these papers for my collaging. Now I was mentioning that I do have my Winsor & Newton set, but I wanted to get a new set, and I loved the idea of this set because of the super large pans, but also the colours are superb. This is GANSAI TAMBI. It's a Japanese brand, and they just have the most luscious colours, and I've been watching some videos on YouTube You can easily find them where people rate them and they use them and they show you how they turn out on paper. So this one's a special edition and it's actually called the Art Nouveau collection. It's just a gorgeous palette and I know I'm going to be using these colours a lot. A lot of these colours are some of my favourites. Then I also purchased their full set. This is 48 colours and it's, I believe, their classic set. By the way, the brand is Kuretake. I'll put all this in the notes. They've also got some metallics, which is quite nice. You can see in the light there. And what I love is that you can actually move them around as well. So you could swap them out. You could, if I was traveling, I could take this smaller one and just place all of them inside it. You can also, of course, put them in your own tins if you have specialist watercolor tins. Masking fluid. I'm sure many of you know about this. So you just use a very old brush to paint onto your paper. You might, for example, want to leave white space for the veins in this leaf. So you would just paint that on and then you would craft your leaf. Once the paint is dry, you just use an eraser to rub it off and it leaves a lovely white line. It's absolutely fantastic. It's particularly great for spattering. So if you wanted to do a few spatters like snow or something like that. This does dry out after a while, so I recommend not getting a bottle much bigger than this. This is 120 ml. Again, it's Mont Marte, it's not expensive, and why would you need to buy expensive masking fluid? It's all the same thing. And second to last, I invested in this whole suite of large flat bristled brushes. They're not very expensive, but they're really nice and sturdy. The bristles are beautiful. And the reason I wanted to get them was because I was finding when I was painting these sheets for my collaging that I was getting a lot of brush strokes. And while that's a fine thing, it's okay. It gives texture and an ombre effect. There are times when I've wanted it just completely flat, maybe with a little blooming or something like that. So I thought I'd give these a try, and I like that there's a whole set and I can use whatever size I feel like. And then lastly, I invested in a surgical scalpel. Now, I was at a workshop recently with the amazing Alice Lindstrom when I was on my fellowship in Adelaide, and she does a lot of collaging, and she was saying that when she started collaging, she found that she'd use scissors most of the time, but she was looking for something to do little intricate things. For example, when I was doing this artwork, I was finding it very hard to cut very thin branches, and using a scalpel will allow me to do that. She said that these surgical scalpels are a game changer and she really, really loves them. I found mine online. I'll put a link in the notes, and it comes with something like 50 spare blades. So as you obviously work through your blade, you've got many more to come.